If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Welcome to Skiba News Nation, bringing you unfiltered views, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Skiba, award-winning musician and son of Rob Skiba.
With the son of the legendary Rob Skiba, Jeremiah Skiba, what's up?
With my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham. It's like I don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.
Something huge is coming. We're building the world's largest truther convention. It's called TrutherCon.
This is the place where truthers unite to explore knowledge, ask tough questions, to challenge the mainstream narrative.
But it isn't just a convention. It's a movement for free thought, open discussion, and the right to question everything.
We are bringing in some of the biggest names of the truther community, so expect deep discussions, mind-blowing revelations, and connections with like-minded truth seekers.
If you feel like the truth is being hidden from you, this is where you need to be.
And the best part, it's 100% grassroots, built by truthers for truthers, straight from our Skiba News Nation family. TrutherCon will be a massive networking event. I believe this is going to be the most exciting truther event ever.
October 2025 in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there. Something in the mail today, so I'm gonna open it up, see what it is. Look at that. Charlie, look at this, look. That's you. Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World and Out. Is that cool? We're gonna flip through it. Look at all that. That looks really good. Look at those things.
Here they are.
The two famous boys. Hey Skiba News Nation family, welcome to episode 118 of Skiba News Nation, your weekly source of the latest news, controversial topics, conspiracies, forgotten history, and so much more. I'm your host, Jeremiah Skiba, and got my boy Charlie. There's a new book, and there's the real guy. That's the real Charlie. And look at that cute, look at this cute little face. Oh yeah, he got a cute little face. He's my co-host today. Let's just dive right in. So take it away, Jake.
Hey, what's up, guys? Coming to you live from an undisclosed location. This week, I'm spending some time with the family, and I just wanted to say the world is getting very, very crazy. You know, sometimes we can lose track of how fast things can move when certain agendas are in place, and I think it's more important now than ever to come together with people that share like-minded values. You know, before we get into today's episode, I want to say that sometimes in previous episodes, I've been very quick to come from a haughty, judgmental position speaking against people from a platform in a way that can be a little, it's been done wrong, is what I'm saying. And I want to say I'm very sorry. Sometimes there's groups of people, particularly I'm referencing some comments I made about the older generation not getting it. And I want to say that I'm sorry if I've come across in a way that's judging or decisive or divisive, because I want you guys to know that my intention here is to not come from a high pedestal position, but to simply present information and thoughts in a genuine, real way. And for all of those I've offended and I've dealt with wrongly online, I'm very sorry. Because it's more important now than ever for generations of people, different mindsets and groups of people, to really come together and to be able to have a dialogue, to speak truth into one another so that we can get to the bottom of a matter. Because whenever there's a divide, whenever there's an offense, it closes our ears to one another. And I need my back covered. And so I need wisdom of others in my life. And that's why I'm starting out, is because this is a principle that can apply to all of us, right? More than ever, if you only have two sets of eyes, then whenever you go to sleep, there's no watchman at the gate, if you know what I mean. And so I just wanted to say and do my part to try to establish a system of communication between myself and even people I might disagree with, and do it humbly and do it with the right intention, to have those extra set of eyes looking so that if I miss something, somebody is willing to stand up and speak on my behalf, stand up and share important information, stand up and cover my back. And so I think that's why it's so important, to just be upfront with you guys that we're living in a crazy world and we need each other more than ever. There's a couple things that I've been getting into lately that's been having me meditate on these concepts and want to start off the news episode with it this week. I am conducting something I'm calling the Omer experiment, which is every single day, or at least I'm trying, I'm working on just an impromptu meditation and song from Psalm 119. And if you're interested in that, you can go check it out on TikTok or on my Facebook or Instagram page. I've been posting those, and those are all under Jake to Human if you're interested. But during this time after Passover, which represents getting the leaven, the pride, the unleavened bread, which is the rising agent that puffs up, which can be false doctrine, it can be sin, out of our house, we then begin this time, this march up to Shavuot. Keeping the biblical feast is so important to my families, and I'm kind of explaining to you guys what I'm doing personally is meditating on Psalm 119, which is this beautiful poetic message. It's kind of like a marriage contract, and I'm trying to attempt this thing because for years I've had this theory and I've never actually put it into practice. But this year I'm attempting to the best of my ability to really meditate on the most important thing, which is the firm foundation of the word of our Creator, of the Almighty. And I think that's the foundation that we can take that will allow us to go through the turbulent, tough times. And when we submit our heart and we're meditating, it's tilling the ground of our heart to allow us to eventually receive His Spirit, which emboldens us to walk it out. And so first, it's the step of being redeemed by the blood of the Lamb as typified by Passover, being brought through the waters of baptism, the Red Sea, And then the journey to Sinai begins, which is the betrothal process, to eventually lead up to the consummation of the relationship, which was Sinai when he gave us his commandments. And you have parallels, of course, with the ancient Israelites and those who chose to keep his Torah with their whole heart. And then later on, the apostles of Christ himself, of Yahushua, went into the upper room and they were singing and praising, and then the Spirit fell on them on that same day of when the commandments were given in the past. And so my theory is that if we are preparing our hearts, if we are meditating on his words, and in Psalm 119, if you've never read it, read it. It's a great time. It's a reflection on this concept that his word is our delight. His Torah is our guide, our light. And man, I'm already about to break into a song now, but all right. So anyways, that's just a little update of kind of my thought process lately. And let's go ahead and get into the news, guys. There's a lot going on. I think you're going to find it very, very interesting, this week's kind of analysis and the big things that are happening. First, I want to start off with this. So, of course, very interesting current news. Pope Francis has died in the hospital. He died just the morning after the April 20th Easter holiday. He was paraded around town, and then that night he passed away suddenly with a stroke. So what's interesting with this is we just recently interviewed Gary Wayne, and you guys should definitely, if you're not subscribed to Skiba News Nation, you need to, because we interviewed an expert on secret orders, and he had some very interesting comments to share about Pope Francis and the possible coming new pope. And we also talked about an ancient 1500s Catholic prophecy, the St. Malachi prophecy, which discusses a certain number of popes. And it has been assumed that Pope Francis was the last pope. And so what does that mean in terms of prophetic world events? If this guy was a real prophet, I'll leave that up to you to discern. But very interesting situation. Obviously, this is huge in terms of billions of people are Catholics in the world today. And when a new leader steps up to the plate, drastic changes and religious waves start to be made. And so whoever steps in and fills this role, I think it's going to impact the world greatly. So you should be aware of the fact that this has happened if you're not already. All right, next let's check out this video from Dabu77, which I found quite interesting, talking about an old pyramid structure located in Crimea. Could this be the motivation for the war in Ukraine? That's what he's putting forward. Let's check it out.
Of the ancient structures that are on Crimea, especially in the southern area right around Sevastopol. And it seems like this area is of the highest interest when it comes to talks and it comes to Europe specifically. They don't want to give up this area. Russia has controlled it thoroughly for the past decade. That's when we first talked about this and raised the question, is this the cause of war? Why do they want this so bad? Because as of today, European leaders are rejecting any proposals that give Russia sovereignty over Crimea after all this time. These are the regions Russia occupies from this war. Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, this whole region. They don't seem to be mentioning keeping those areas at all. Russia says, withdraw your troops from here, and then we'll talk. That's where we're at as of today, April 24th, 2025. But they go straight at Crimea. Why? Russia has had a base here, a submarine base here, for a long time. And as mentioned before, there seems to be something underground. We go back to 1999 when this was first discovered, when Vitaly Gok had claimed he had discovered underground structures, up to 30-some structures, many of them in the shape of a pyramid, back in 1999. Him and a team of researchers then went about exploring the area around Sevastopol, and they discovered an entrance that went down into the ground like a shaft. They documented all this stuff. It even led down to a tunnel underneath, and they used different instruments. He specifically designed an instrument that would detect water underground, and this helped them to start to see what was going on in the area. After the research, they stated that they believe there are 7 different large pyramid-type structures in a line that go right through this area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they say that the one is literally right off the coast and it's underwater. And in this exact area, the whole town, an ancient town, is underwater. So it aligns with everything that they're saying. The only thing that hasn't been confirmed here is a stamp on it by mainstream archaeologists or the West. This is because they can't get in here to do anything. They're not allowed. Russia won't let them do anything in the region. Now, this guy, Vitalik, he'd spent 30 years in Russia working for the military of the Soviet Union, and then when retired, went about in this area with this research, and this is where they found all these structures. There's another structure that faces the west. They're not sure what it is, underground as well, but there's never been given any green light for any excavations to go down in this region, so it's remained a mystery. Now, this area, and this is what they say it looks like constructed underground. They say that it's so old and seen so many different civilizations come through this area to control it, from the Romans to the Turks, the Greeks, that they estimate this to be tens of thousands of years old, if not in the millions. And that'll boggle people's minds. But these were initial guesses, and it looks like, indeed, something is there. So, with all this talk of peace potentially, the only thing stopping it right now is Crimea. Why? What is so special about Crimea? But when we go digging, when someone literally went digging, what they discovered was underground structures, potentially some of the oldest pyramids on the planet.
Oh, man. Why is there not peace in Crimea? Could it be for this very reason? Yeah, the pyramids being right here in this land that's contested. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Thank you, Dabu, for that little analysis there. Moving on. Okay, so we're talking about World War, but this next clip is in China. Local news won't post this, but people were filming their fleets of ships, airships and planes and whatever, flying across the country. And it's an exercise that you won't see normally posted by Chinese media, or definitely no Western or American media is going to be propagandizing the strength. But it to me, it reminds me of what Red Dawn could look like one day. So let's check this out. So, of course, Red Dawn, the movie, was the invasion of the U.S. by Russia and China. And this could be just a military exercise, right? But forces are moving, things are stirring, and I think that's the whole point. So let's move on to our next clip here. This is a redacted segment. We're just going to watch a little bit of it. I am going to bump the speed up because it's quite a long video. But just wanted you guys to hear out the premise of it. If you want to go and check it out further, go and, watch the full video. But it's the concept of time travel and how the government's been hiding it. Check this out.
All right, I want to talk about time travel. I'm looking forward to this all day. I've been looking forward to talking with Ashton Forbes all day in the secret technology. Yes, the White House admitting this week, on the record, by the way, that we possess the technology to manipulate time and space. In other words, time travel, teleportation technology, like the very same technology that was used to make MH370, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, disappear in thin air on camera. And by the way, the people that are like, oh, that video's been debunked. Shut up. No, it hasn't. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's been bunked. It's not been debunked. And the man who helped really uncover the story from the beginning is Ashton Forbes, one of our favorite guests here on the show. I call him a physicist because he is, citizen journalist, and one of the most prolific individuals in this space, and just thrilled to have you on the show. Ashton, great to have you. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Clayton. Feelings mutual. It's always fun to talk to you.
Blast, I hope we have fun here. I'm really looking forward to this. So this is, the reason I wanted to have you on is because of this bombshell. There's a couple of stories over the past couple of weeks that kind of came out. I want to play this first soundbite from General Quast. Now he worked in Colorado training individuals, and he saw this technology basically, I think, on the desks of Air Force engineers in the United States Air Force. And it was basically admitting that we have these incredible technologies that allows us to teleport, transport in ways that you wouldn't blow your mind. So let me just play a few seconds of this. Watch this one.
The technology is on the engineering benches today, but most Americans and most in Congress have not had time to really look deeply at what's going on here. But I've had the benefit of 33 years of studying and becoming friends with these engineers and these scientists. This technology can be built today with technology that is not developmental to deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour. To deliver Wi-Fi from space, where you never need a cell tower to connect. To deliver...
Yeah. And then this just happened over the past 48 hours. Trump White House official of science and technology policy director Michael Kriatsos said that we possess the technology that can manipulate time and space. Watch.
Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. Advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
So he's basically, and I love what you tweeted the other day. You pointed out basically he's admitting that we allowed our technology to sort of purposefully stagnate. Mm-hmm. That we almost like slowed it down on purpose, yet we have the ability to manipulate time and space. So first of all, when you heard his comments, what did you think?
Yeah, and the first thing I thought was, okay, let me see the context. And when you get the context, it's actually even crazier in the context. He's saying that we intentionally made a choice to hamstring our technology. And he's talking specifically about transportation technology. And then he says, we are capable of so much more. And when he says that we have the ability to manipulate time and space, he's talking about gravity manipulation. That's what manipulation of time and space literally is. And then after that, he kind of speaks to other things that also would speak to things like what plasma might do to make things grow, as well as just other applications for the same technology, potentially as well, like AI. He speaks to making things more productive, which in today's day and age would mean AI. He says something about the 1970s, which I don't think anybody really picked up on. But if you're somebody that has researched gravity research, in the 70s, the Mansfield Amendment was passed. And what this did was made it so that the military could not fund things that were not related to combat, direct military applications. And so gravity research got pushed to the defense contractors. So all of these references, like there's no, if you're somebody, people gaslighting about, oh, he's talking about telephones and internet, these people are sitting at the little kids table, right? Well, there's two videos out there in perfect sync that show a plane literally disappearing out of space-time that is still missing 11 years later. So we got to just be real about it, as much as we don't want to believe it, whatever, but it seems undeniable to me.
Yeah, we're watching this. This is MH370 on the screen here, which of course disappears using, so would you say that maybe the same technologies that he's talking about is what allowed the United States government to disappear MH370?
Yeah, definitely. And what we're talking about here is technology that you can find a lot of videos of engineers talking about this. That zero-point energy technology is an echelon above anything that we have conventionally right now. So even nukes are completely obsolete in face of this level of technology. And you'll hear people talking about this all over the place. So you can imagine a lot of scenarios where with this type of technology, the United States government is uncontested in the world. And this explains why nobody has really actually tried to challenge us on the global stage for, almost an entire century at this point. And some people say, well, if these are out there, could other countries have figured it out? Yes, I think there's a shadow arms race. And I think this overlaps with the UFO community where they say that, this might be UFO tech or whatever, and then Russia and China are working on this. This is what scares me the most about this is that, if two warring factions get this level of technology, The science on display here that I want to go through with you today, it has the capability of producing not just a wormhole, but actually a black hole, like annihilation of the entire planet, maybe even the entire solar system. It's just a matter of scale. And what you realize from these videos and the science related to them is that physics, the universe is scale invariant. Stuff that you can do on the small level, small scale, you can also do on the large scale. Those orbs that you see there, they are mimicking atoms. It looks like an atom. It's a positively charged plasma center with electrons that you can see as green, as a shell around it. You can even see the shell of the electrons move fluidly when they start to spin around the plane because of the magnetic field they're producing around the plane. It's just wild when you look at it and you can see all of that detail from that.
Wow. So super interesting. Obviously, there's a lot more technology coming to surface. The advancement of AI technology. We have military technology that is far beyond our comprehension, and they're probably 20 years beyond that with what they're sharing with us. So I thought that was an interesting little clip. You know, some of those recent announcements about a push for stopping the sluggardness of modern innovation. You know, we can use the car industry as an example that many years ago, they could have introduced much more fuel efficient cars that could have traveled much farther on much less gas, but there was a ill intention in causing car manufacturers to keep using technology or engine types that would guzzle fuel, because the people that got fuel out of the ground and made and refined fuel would have lost a lot of money. And so they perpetuate the thing to create customers. And this is a parallel to the medical system as well, which is when you don't treat the cause and you treat the symptom, you have a lifelong customer. So let's go ahead and look here. There's some interesting things that happened on Easter Sunday, which was the last day of unleavened bread in our observation of biblical feast, which is also interesting parallel because there's oftentimes world events that happen in association with the feasts of Yah as defined in Leviticus, like the attacks on Israel happening in the fall and back in October in 23, and various other things throughout the past couple of years seem to fall parallel to these appointed times. But there was a conjunction of Easter on the last day of unleavened bread, and the world can't help but to mock and mock. And so I just wanted to share this little clip from Sling and Stone, who we just did an interview with. So if you guys enjoy this clip and his analysis, go check out his channel. We interviewed him last week. So yeah, let's check it out.
A lot of attacks on Christianity. There are a lot of attacks on Christianity that are happening around the world right now. God told us in his word that this would happen, so it's not a surprise. Let's take a look at some of these stories and see how, in the end, Jesus still gets the glory anyways. Did Netflix cut Isaiah 53 from Passion of the Christ? Some viewers have posted videos on social media asking that question after footage emerged from what appears to be two different versions of the opening montage. The movie's theatrical release included a passage from Isaiah 53, a passage written roughly 700 years before Christ, which reads, "He was wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities, by his wounds we are healed." But in footage from the Netflix version shared on social media, viewers are met with a jarring 13-second blank black screen, devoid of music or context.
I wanted to share something really interesting with you guys, so check this out. When you stream The Passion of the Christ on any other platform than Netflix, here's what comes up. Isaiah 53, right in the beginning, just like the DVD or the original film. Now, go over to Netflix and stream The Passion of the Christ, and here's the intro. They leave Isaiah 53 out. Why is that? Why is Jesus always under attack? What do you guys think? Sound off in the comments.
The detailed prophecies about Jesus in Isaiah 53 prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is the Messiah and the Bible is the truth. The Jewish people who study the Old Testament books like the book of Isaiah reject Jesus as the Messiah, but the prophecy is so clear that Jews even say it's referencing Jesus when they're asked about it.
He was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities, and by his wounds we are healed. Is this from the Tanakh or the New Testament?
זה מהברית החדשה או מהתנ"ך? ברית החדשה. מאיפה אתה חושב שזה, מהברית החדשה או מהתנ"ך? ברית החדשה.
New Testament. New Testament. New Testament. New Testament.
New Testament.
I say new. So this is phrased from the prophet Isaiah 700 years before Jesus was born.
זה מהתנ"ך. זה מהתנ"ך, כן? וואי. זה מהתנ"ך. זה רשום בישעיהו, ישעיהו נ"ג.
It wasn't just Netflix who attacked Jesus during this time, where his resurrection is celebrated by billions of people. Saturday Night Live also mocked Jesus being the Messiah and his second coming last Saturday in the opening to their show.
Hi, it's me, your favorite president, Donald Jesus Trump, comparing myself to the Son of God once again, you know. Many people are even calling me the Messiah because of the Messiah made out of the economy. It's true, the stock market did a Jesus. It died, then on the third day it was risen. And then on the fourth day it died again, possibly never to return, just like Jesus. Where the heck is that guy? Come back, get me out of this. Oh, and Jesus Christ is a name we've been saying a lot lately. We're saying it a lot. We look at our 401k and say, Jesus Christ, where did it all go?
Jesus has been laughed at and mocked since he came to the earth the first time. They will mock him and spit on him and scourge him and kill him, and 3 days later he will rise again. The increased attacks on Jesus and those who follow him is just more evidence that what the Bible has to say is actually the truth. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. This passage, which has now become a very clear fulfilled prophecy, is on full display in the United Kingdom. UK schools cancel Easter celebrations out of respect for diversity. Primary schools across the UK have begun scrapping traditional Easter celebrations, citing the need to respect the religious diversity of their student bodies. Norwood Primary School notified parents that it would not be holding the usual Easter bonnet parade or church service this year. In a letter sent by head teacher Stephanie Mander, the school explained that the goal is to create a more inclusive atmosphere. By not holding specific religious celebrations, we aim to create a more inclusive atmosphere that honors and respects the beliefs of all our children and their families, Mander wrote. Their religion.
Today was a great day for people who think diversity is our greatest strength. Central London was brought to a screeching halt so that some Muslims could celebrate Al-Shura Day. So the Metropolitan Police decided to close several major roads so a procession could march through the capital. They said officers are present to minimise disruption and deal with any incidents. Okay, incidents like this?
Australia is the next country attacking specifically Christianity. What you notice is none of these countries or shows or companies are mocking any other religion except those that believe that Jesus is the Son of God and the only way to heaven. That alone should tell people that there's something more to Jesus and the Bible, because the other religions aren't a threat. And that's because the other religions don't have a real God behind them.
A new law in the Australian state of New South Wales called the Conversion Practices Ban Act 2024 allows religious expression and prayer as long as it isn't, quote, directed to changing or suppressing an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity.
Whoa. Okay, so as you hear it there's mocking the coming of the Christ. And if you know your Bible, you know the parallels with those sentiments being broadcast all over the world. And I know they've been doing that for a long time. But given the current events and the situation of the world and where we're headed very quickly, Matthew 24 is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And while I and my family don't participate in Easter, we participate in Passover in remembrance of Yeshua. I will say that there's a lot of just blatant attacks against Christianity in general. And so while we don't always have to agree with the understanding of others, there's a concerted effort across the world to, one, obfuscate the truth, and two, to push this kind of ideology of ecumenicalism. And while I don't have to always agree with everybody's particular theological positions, what I can say is that I can value the research that Michael at Sling and Stone is doing, the news stories and things he's bringing forward, and I think you guys should check out our interview that we did last week. And if you're interested in some of his other stuff, you can go over to Sling and Stone, because if you have a love for the truth and you have eyes looking out there, as we started our episode out today doing, then keep pushing for the truth, because eventually we're all going to come to a common understanding, because truth can remain inspected. Truth can remain, it's precious. It's something that once the lights shined, we can all recognize it. And so in areas that some people might believe somebody doesn't have the truth yet, in the past, I've been very harsh to people who don't see it yet. But I will stand firm on my convictions and my perspective. And in the areas that I agree with somebody, that they're uncovering something fishy, like his analysis with what he was sharing with Netflix and how it's very fishy that they're not including that Isaiah 53 verse in Netflix, but they are in other streaming services and on the OG Passion of the Christ DVD. Man, like totally, like wow, like it's really crazy that you can see it in front of you, a effort to hide the truth and to confuse the truth. And so anyways, let's go on to our next story here. More kind of world turmoil. Erdogan sets his sights on Israel. If Trump wants to prevent another regional conflict, calling Turkey's president a friend won't cut it. So the Turkish Republic is on the brink as Recep Erdogan, its would-be sultan, dismantles the country's secular democracy. President Donald Trump has seemingly taken little notice. And of course, we're bringing this up because of the turmoil that is happening in the Middle East, in Israel, and Turkey is right there, right above it all, the little hat of the Middle East. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to read the whole article, but I think these things start to pop up on our news feed to draw our attention one way or the other. And I know that there's been a growth in the Turkish military's interest in the Middle East, and let's just keep our eyes peeled. One of the other reasons I wanted to share this is, has anybody heard that this is the son of Adolf Hitler? I've heard that said in some eschatological breakdowns, that this man would fulfill some type of role in the prophetic escalation of tensions in the Middle East. And so I always found it interesting that, he does kind of look like the old mustachio. All right, let's go ahead and look at this next clip, which is China recently showcasing its cutting-edge synchronized drone swarm technology. And in previous episodes, we've covered how horrifying World War III would be because the sound of PTSD is not going to be mortar shells. It's going to be swarming drones. Check this out. Whoa, Nelly. Drone technology is getting crazy. They literally all land right on their own charging station. And of course, these are being used for these massive light shows in the sky. But just take this same concept and apply it to a militarized attack weapon that could be used to just overwhelm enemy forces. Pretty crazy, pretty alarming. And you know that they're cooking it up somewhere, right? So let's move on to this next story. This morning, Friday, right, there was an interesting conjunction in the sky, and I love to see the things that happen in the heavens because they always fascinate me. They're for signs, seasons, and appointed moedim. But I don't know what this means. It's just a little cool. It was the Smiley Face that appeared around 5:30 a.m. with the conjunction of Saturn and Venus over the crescent moon. Now, this is fascinating to me, obviously, because it looks like a big smiley face in the sky. Yep, it was a little cloudy where I was, so I was unable to watch it today. But if you guys got to wake up early and see the smiley face in the heavens, comment below and tell us what it looked like. Did it actually look like a smiley face, or were the wandering stars just a little bit spread apart? Did it actually look like this picture? Really did it? Anyways, eyes on the skies. All right, next thing I wanted to share here is an interesting video clip that was really shocking. It was a professor pathologist presenting a interesting slideshow, and I'm going to be very coded in the way I present this, but I think it's pretty shocking, and I agree with the person who's asking the question, can this be true? And it says this in the PP papers. P warns doinky doinked men not to have intercourse with childbearing age women, but they do not say why, except it's clear that something they fear in exposure to the boinky-doink is via sperm. This may be what the P was afraid of. And I find my codedness of this to be extremely humorous and entertaining right now. Prof. Dr. Anne Burkhardt, a German pathologist, presents an unsettling slideshow revealing that in boinky-doinked males, the spike protein from the CVV has entirely replaced their sperm. So I know this sounds like a nightmare tale, and I'm not trying to, push bad information, but we know that the spike protein that comes along with this modern genetic technology is doing something, and apparently this pathologist is reporting it's replacing sperm with the protein. So anyways, I didn't want to get too deep into this, but this came across my feed, and I wanted you guys to maybe discuss it in the comments. We can't hardly talk about it on here, so In other health news, we have here that breaking, the U.S. has banned food dyes red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, blue 2, and green 3 effective today. So I know this is some further promises of RFK Jr. And yeah, hopefully this is all for the better. And so to go along with this, I had this video here. All right, so check out this video, which talks about this very same topic and how previously they convinced us that these things that have now been banned were totally good for us. Check it out.
Cotton producers started crushing cotton seeds for oil. They sold it as engine lubricant, and some guy said, hey, maybe we could eat the oil. Yeah, let's eat it. In 1911, Crisco, massive flea market, their cottonseed oil. Everyone ate Crisco, oh yeah. Now in 2024, we all eat a ton of oil, corn, canola, soy, sunflower oil. Humans never ate this much linoleic acid. Now our bodies are 5 times as much linoleic acid as is natural. That's a lot of vegetable oil. Should we eat engine oil? Maybe, maybe not. 1829 cotton producers start.
Okay, so a humorous little song there about engine oil, which is a whole nother area of this health concept of what we consume actually is impacting detrimentally our health. But it was the same premise that I wanted to kind of bring up, is that a lot of these red dyes are different synthetic products that are left over from the petroleum fuel industry, and it's definitely probably not good for us. I'm not saying probably in a, I'm kind of saying it in a joking way. It's definitely not good for us. But that was the motivation, is that these excess things that come off of these industrial processes could then be resold to be used to color our foods, and that's where we get a lot of our dyes. So of course it causes interesting adverse effects, and that's the reason it's banned most places in the world, and was just recently apparently banned here in the United States. So awesome. Now, in the midst of all of this stuff going on in the world, there's really big spectacles playing out, and we covered briefly the Blue Rocket story, and there was some interesting videos pointing out some, I guess you could say, inconsistencies in the narrative. Check these out. So here's another inconsistency in the way it was being presented falsely, where they opened the door too quick, right? So obviously, you know, maybe they could open the door from the inside, whatever. The point being is that they wanted to present it as if he had to go up and unlock the thing, and everybody saw them already open the door, so it's already a display that there's a deceptive kind of pro-camera acting happening. So here's another clip that I think is pretty fascinating. This is good old Dave from the Flat Earth Dave, and we've had him on the show. Check out that interview on Skiba News Nation. It was pretty interesting. Here's his analysis of this propaganda piece.
Now it's going to fall back to earth. They all have to get into their chairs and get in. So they're allowed to move around and play and push off the walls. This thing, what's stopping it from tumbling? But they always have to tell us who their master is, right? Here's her logo. I'll zoom in on it. It's Baphomet. Upside down. You flip it over. They do it all the time. Everything they do, they have that all the time. So is the last guy that went up. This is what he's wearing to go up to space.
Yeah.
And this is what a jet pilot, a fighter pilot has to wear when he's just going, when he's going up for 1,300 miles per hour, 45,000 feet. They're going up 350,000 feet at 2,200 miles per hour, and they're just wearing jumpsuits, right? Nobody's really thinking these things through when they come down. And they're like, yeah, but I saw the curve of the earth. This is Kobe Cotton is his name. Kobe Cotton, CC 33.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so look, the curve of the earth, but here's the same camera when he's on the ground, the curve of the ground. It's the same curve. So they're just using a fisheye lens, and people just believe this stuff, right? People are like, you can go see a rocket launch yourself. And yes, sometimes they do launch real rockets, but they're not real rockets. There's never anybody on them, ever. This is what I call the Tupac rocket. It's a complete and total hologram. The amount of thrust coming out of here should obliterate everything here, but this smoke is just kind of lollygagging around. That's lifting up, 30 tons of weight, right? But when it went up, we had a little glitch. Watch right here. Watch the top of the rocket. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and come on. Where is it? There it goes.
Oh.
It disappears. We'll zoom in. Okay. This happens all the time with NASA. So I'm done with space. I mean, the space that we can spend the entire time here for hours going on and on about space. And, we really won't get, we won't even.
Dave, but let's talk.
So this thing now is going to fall back to earth. They all have to get in.
Yep, I'd say distraction central. One last little clip from the Flat Earth Library.
Well, can you go?
All right. So here's your speed. All right, 4,000 kilometers an hour. All right, kilometers, you see that. Now, guys, you tell me this, all right? You see how fast you're going. Now watch his hands. Watch his hands.
We've got a live view of
Watch his hands.
on the vehicle at this moment, which is really cool.
How are you going to move your hands like that at 5,700 kilometers an hour?
Just about.
Tell me that.
Oh, and of course I've already seen clips coming out of like in the ship there's like mannequins with the Katy Perry. I know some of these clips are not from that same space flight, but it's just building on the principle that there's some big questions to these big spectacles, if you know what I mean. Whether or not you believe the earth is a ball or flat or whatever, you have to admit that there's something deceptive happening in some of these situations. Check this out. Very interesting little clip. I think you guys will enjoy it.
The book of Enoch, first Enoch, in their canon, is because it testifies of the man they crucified. That's why they rejected it. Full stop. That's why they rejected it. Tertullian knew this. He wrote a treatise on it. And of course, they were appalled. The Jews of the first century were clearly appalled by the notion that angels could have sexual intercourse with human women. So that notion was rejected. And I think that's the main reason, the primary reason why the Book of Enoch was excluded from the canon was because its content was unsavory to certain people. But nevertheless, the story of Enoch is foundational to the biblical narrative. Foundational. Old and New Testament. And the prophecies of Enoch, namely in the Book of Parables, in first Enoch, is foundational to the eschatology of the writers of the New Testament. The writers of the New Testament were exceedingly conversant with the book of Enoch. In fact, their Christology, their understanding of who Jesus was, much of it is derived directly from the oracles of Enoch.
Now, of course, that was Timothy Alberino, and not to do a total bait and switch and jump into another topic, but I just wanted to move on to just the concept that the world as we know it has systematically hidden things that actually paint a clearer picture about the alien phenomenon and about demons and all this by calling books like the Book of Enoch untrustworthy, despite the fact that it's contained in one of the oldest Bibles in existence, the Ethiopian Coptic Bible. And I also wanted to point out, we have interviewed Timothy Alberino on Skiba News Nation. I've actually been able to be a part of interviews with him in the past and other media channels. And it's really cool that some of this information is getting on some of these bigger podcasts and starting to go viral nowadays. I think that interview got several 100,000 views at the least, maybe several million. And I think it's so interesting that people are becoming aware of some of this knowledge. So, I love the Book of Enoch. I created a Book of Enoch audio dramatization. You can find that on my YouTube channel. It's really a profound text. Whether you accept it as scripture or not, you should at least give it a try for intellectual value. Here's another clip. Check this out. Pretty cutting edge information. Pretty cutting edge technology. Right, it's just a high quality latex mask being put over a robot, but it makes things like iRobot and even the scenes in They Live where he puts the glasses on and everybody's like a Skeletor robot or whatever, totally plausible in the near future. All right, that's kind of freaky. I wonder why they didn't choose a prettier mask. Oh man. I guess they're easing us into robotics. They're like, all right, if we're going to put out realistic looking robots, we'll just make them ugly people so that you don't feel uncomfortable. Because if they're very attractive, you might like them. But if they're very ugly people, then they'll be below you. And so like the more advanced our robotic technology gets, the uglier we have to make their appearance so that it makes people feel better about themselves. What a funny concept. All right, check out this next clip. right, so I shared that because it's really interesting to me how people so quickly forget how propaganda is used to push narratives. And while we live through current propaganda, it's interesting to inspect past propaganda. And if you guys who've watched Skiba News Nation for a while remember which episode I covered it, but it was all the flag kind of people, you know what type of people I'm talking about, dancing, saying oh man, I can't even say it, but man, it's just when you ask the question, like, when these mass messages go out, whether it's space programs, whether it's fear and mongering, whether it's everybody support Ukraine, whether it's do this to your genome, I think we have to ask the question, who's propagating this at such a quick pace and why? And then in hindsight, it becomes much clearer. But when we're living through it, it can be very confusing sometimes. Now, obviously, here's a little bit more of a description of where technology is going and what their intentions are for. And this is a type of propaganda. It's a Times article page, never offline. The Apple Watch is just the start. How wearable tech will change your life, like it or not. Oh, man. So, pretty incendiary article title. But we see this is where technology is quickly going. This next clip is two globalist giants who fell in only 24 hours. A lot of interesting stuff. Check this out.
Last 24 hours, two pillars of global influence have fallen. Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, and Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, gone. Just like that. No speculation, no spin, just fact. One resigned, one passed. Both considered architects of the modern globalist agenda. Both gone in a day. You won't see headlines connecting these two events. The mainstream will call it coincidence, but people are watching. People are feeling the shift. And let's be clear, this wasn't expected. Back in May of 2024, Klaus Schwab said he would remain at the helm of the WEF until at least 2027. He was adamant. The transition must be gradual, he said, and yet, just months later, he's gone, abruptly, quietly. These aren't just resignations or deaths. These are symbols. Symbols of an era that may be ending. An era defined by control, centralization, ideology masked as inevitability. Globalism demands that nations surrender their independence to a global authority, political, financial, even spiritual. It asks you to trade we the people for they, the elite. That's not progress. That's the antithesis of the American experiment. Because the Declaration of Independence wasn't a suggestion, it was a rejection of exactly this kind of power structure. Sovereignty, freedom, self-rule. That's what's on the line. So what's happening here? Are the globalist foundations being dismantled? Is someone, some force, moving pieces off the board? We don't pretend to know the full picture. But we know this, power doesn't give up without a reason. And when power does shift, it rarely does so with headlines. It happens in silence, in symbolism, in perfect timing. Watch closely, because the world just changed, and most people haven't even noticed yet.
All right, very interesting. Back on our initial topic of how massive changes are coming with the death of the Pope, and then we see Carl Schwab stepping down all in the same time period. Let's keep our conspiracy tinfoil hats on to protect our brains from microwaves and our eyes open. All right. One last interesting topic. This was April 17th, or April 16th that this was recorded. And it's a clip of a meteor supposedly being redirected by, well, a UFO? I don't know. Look at this. UFO and the meteor like slightly moves. Wow. It wouldn't be as crazy if this orb didn't appear right when it was diverted. Apparently it hit somewhere right outside the city, where otherwise it would have hit kind of in an urban area. Very interesting. All right, so I thought this was a funny little video I wanted to share this week. Check this out.
Getting this image of the throne room of God that the elders are castrating themselves in front of the Lord, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful picture. I'm just getting this image of the throne room of God that the elders are castrating themselves in front of the Lord. And it is just a beautiful, beautiful picture.
Oh, if we're judged for every idle word that comes out of our mouth, oh man, buddy, you better start repenting for that. So, you know, I am susceptible to slips in my language, you know, one word replacing another. Just like that guy. So I have a lot of mercy for you, brother. I understand, but it's really hilarious. And you know, one last funny video since we covered the topic this week. Check it out. Oh, man. So, yeah. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and man, just eyes open, everybody. It's just sometimes it's so blatant in your face that the deception that's meant to control and do terrible things to your psyche and to force you into the goodos ends up becoming funny when you see through it all. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your consideration. If you have any thoughts on the segments I've puzzle pieced together, I know sometimes loosely, but hopefully we can have some good discussion in the comments below this video. And also, if you want to support what I'm doing, check out tribethegame.net. I made an awesome board game, and we have a couple of the first editions left. I'm trying to sell it out so I can buy my next batch. So go over to tribethegame.net. And with that said, back to you, Jeremiah. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Jake, for another great current news as always. And now a quick look at our Babylon Rising bookstore.
Check out our new and improved BabylonRisingBooks.com, where you can get Rob Skiba's books, bundles, DVDs, DVD-ROMs, videos, and so much more. You can even get Sheila and Jeremiah's books, so check it out now.
It's about that time for an all-new Opa's Corner. Take it away, Opa.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
The strange, the bizarre, the unexpected. These are the kinds of subjects a man named Robert L. Ripley challenged us to believe it or not.
Believe it or not, you.
Wally, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
Believe it! You're a loony.
Scotland's national animal is a unicorn. And the Irish have leprechauns. Believe it or not. Crocodiles have a membrane that holds their tongue in place, preventing them from sticking it out. Na 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 na. Believe it or not. Crows, along with other corvids, like ravens, jays, and magpies, can remember and hold grudges against humans for up to 2 years. They'll be looking for your clean car. Believe it or not. Dolphins use distinct whistles to identify each other, much like humans use names. Believe it or not. Australia is wider than the moon. Australia's diameter from east to west is almost 2,500 miles, while the moon's diameter is 2,170 miles. Believe it or not. Koalas have fingerprints so similar to humans that they can confuse crime scene investigators. It was the koala officer. Believe it or not. Central Park in New York City is larger than the entire country of Monaco. Believe it or not. The Eiffel Tower was originally made for Barcelona. Believe it or not. Lemons float in water, but limes sink. Believe it or not. The longest English word is 189,819 letters long. Believe it or not. Sudan has more pyramids than any country in the world. Believe it or not. Tug of war was in the Olympics from 1900 to 1920. Yo heave ho. Believe it or not. Finland has more saunas than cars. Over 2 million. Believe it or not. When you flew from London to New York by Concorde, you could arrive 2 hours before you left. Boy, I'd like to see that sucker take off. Believe it or not. The word nerd was first coined by Dr. Seuss in If I Ran the Zoo, before he was politically incorrect. Believe it or not.
Nerd.
In ancient Rome, it was considered a sign of leadership to be born with a crooked nose. Believe it or not. The Baby Ruth candy bar was actually named after Grover Cleveland's baby daughter, Ruth. And they look funny in the swimming pool. Believe it or not. Mr. Potato Head was the first toy to be advertised on TV. Believe it or not. Helen Keller is related to Robert E. Lee. Her parental grandfather was his second cousin. So, why didn't she have a Southern accent? Believe it or not. The oldest unopened bottle of wine was found in a Roman tomb. It was more than 1,650 years old. And boy, it was good to the very last drop. Believe it or not. If it wasn't for Philo T. Farnsworth, inventor of the television, we'd still be eating frozen radio dinners. Democracy means that anyone can grow up to be president, and anyone who doesn't grow up can be vice president. I'm writing a book. I got all the page numbers done. If you are in a spaceship that's traveling at the speed of light and you turn on the headlights, does anything happen? Right now, I'm having amnesia and deja vu at the same time. I think I've forgotten this before. A lot of people are afraid of heights. Not me. I'm afraid of widths. My friend George is an AM radio DJ, and when he walks under a bridge, you can't hear him. I'm addicted to placebos. I had to stop driving my car for a while because the tires got dizzy. If you tell a joke in the forest and nobody laughs, is it a joke? The ice cream truck in my neighborhood plays Helter Skelter. What do you call a blonde with half a brain? Gifted. Why are so many blonde jokes one-liners? So brunettes can remember them. How many paranoid people does it take to change a light bulb? Who wants to know? Buffet is a French word that means get up and get it yourself. Did you hear about the statistician who drowned while crossing a river? It was 3 feet deep on average. What do you call a chicken who crosses the road, rolls in the mud, and then crosses back again? A dirty double crosser. Why did the rooster cross the road? To prove he wasn't a chicken. Sports flash. T-ball stand pitches perfect game. Why do ballerinas always stand on their toes? Why don't they get taller dancers? We have frames to fit every face. Have you tried contacts? Most of these new arrivals seem incapable of conversation. They just stare at their hands in despair. One way to relieve stress is to pet my fur while telling me how cute I am. Whack a whippersnapper. Scratching post. Okay, you two, problem solved. Noah's greatest ordeal. Will you hurry up? A day in the life of a non-praying mantis. Church? I've got a yacht, 3 Maseratis, 40 Bitcoin, and a vacation home in Aspen. I live a life of opulence and decadence. Why would I need to go to church? The assignment was to draw a Thanksgiving turkey by tracing their hand. I have a strong suspicion Aiden may have used AI to complete his homework. What makes you think that? We're looking at 24 fillings, 4 sets of braces, 2 retainer fittings, and 8 wisdom teeth extractions. Sign me up for 3 more sequels. Missing mayflies in Macon County. As you know, the first 48 hours are critical. If we don't find her in that time period, her survival rate drops to 0, as does ours. I'm telling you, they're eating us. You and your conspiracy theories. Morale among employees who aren't near windows is up 59% since we had the periscopes installed. Missing. Little strip of paper with phone number on it. For the tuna course, the chef will open the can right here at the table. This is so exciting. I wouldn't stand there if I were you. I'm about to use the can opener. Daryl is sharing his pet with us today. I'm sure the whole class will find this very entertaining. Well, that was exciting. If you find him, tug on the rope and we'll pull you both out. Wallen's Dairy Products. And that, Johnny, is how we get evaporated milk. After debuting its new weather format, TV 52's ratings soared to number 1. That's right, folks. AccuBob gets 1 egg in the face for every degree that he's off in his forecast. Outside, under, to, around, over? Are you trying to preposition me? Tonight, Carly Simon book tour. I just want to tell you how much I love the song You're So Vain. I thought it was a groundhog, but now I'm pretty sure it's a gopher. While hiking deep in the forest, Mike and Trudy discovered the answer to an age-old mystery.
Check out this bitch. I wonder if it's a Shih Tzu.
Looks like they found a loophole in our no swearing rule. Excuse me, General Custer, sir, but smoke signals say, ready or not, here we come. NASA.
Lost the keys? You idiot.
Okay, think. You had them when we left the module. You had them when we were gathering moon rocks. The aggrieved party of this restraining order is right up there. Ant games. I hope you enjoyed shopping at our store. Have a nice day. I hope you enjoyed shopping at our store. Have a nice day.
Harry, snap out of it. You're home now.
I just saw a video on North America's largest houseboat. So I decided to make my own. Air and Space Museum.
Looks about right.
And that concludes another Opa's Corner.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat er nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
Opa's Corner is now available on my own YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, Opa, for another great Opa's Corner. This week's History's Mysteries is brought to you by Corporate Bloom, so check this out. Hey, Skiba News Nation family. We're excited to announce something cool with you guys. We are now teaming up with Corporate Bloom. They have a new system that puts over 30 AI tools all in one place. Normally priced at $29.99, you can try it out now and get 25% off with your first month using code Skiba at checkout. This helps with beta testing, and you get to use some amazing tools. Remember, use code Skiba at checkout. We can't wait to see what you guys come up with and what you create with it. So check out corporatebloom.com. It's time for an all-new History's Mysteries. So this week's History's Mysteries is going to be kind of controversial because we're going to be diving into the surprising history of chiropractic medicine. So quick disclaimer, I'm not saying that all chiropractors are bad. I'm also not saying that their practice doesn't have any value. I'm just saying we ought to know the full story if we're going to these places, where it comes from, the history and stuff like that. We'll look into things like séances, connections to Scientology, and claims to replace Christianity, which is very interesting. So with that being said, let's play this first clip. So check this out.
What if this guy told you that he'd discovered a new science? Not only could it heal every physical disease, but it could harmonize the body with the spirit. It could cure sin itself and make us into people who acted in accordance with the will of God. Is it a pill? Is it surgery? Is it some kind of chip he plants in your brain? Nope. All he has to do is crack your back a few times. If that sounds too good to be true, just wait. It gets even better. Guess how he found out about this long-hidden secret? A ghost told him. You might say that sounds like a religion, or you might say that sounds like woo-woo hippie bullshit, but that's exactly what D.D. Palmer, the founder of chiropractic, claimed. Daniel David Palmer was born in Port Perry, Ontario in 1845. He immigrated to the United States a couple of decades later and worked as a magnetic healer for 9 years. He also studied, in his words, Christian Science, faith cure, mind cure, metaphysics, and osteopathy. But chiropractic wasn't just a synthesis or an innovation on these. Palmer had another passion, one which would lead him to the revelation of this new and revolutionary form of treatment: spiritualism. In the late 19th century, there was a rapid rise in spiritualism. The term spiritualism is often misused today, employed to mean spirituality, or to identify a worldview that's spiritual but not religious. But spiritualism, in Palmer's sense, was the practice of communicating with the dead. Think of séances, Ouija boards, and so forth. Palmer was in contact with an intelligent spiritual being, he said, named Dr. Jim Atkinson, who revealed a novel and revolutionary form of healing. What sort of thing could this new science do? Let's hear about Ed. Ed was 17. The left side of his body was paralyzed from birth. According to Palmer, he had not uttered a word that was understood by his parents or friends, and he had the mental capacity of a 3-year-old. After a few weeks of adjustment, Ed was cured, and not just physically. His mentality and language, wrote Palmer, was that of others of like age and environments. You might think that Palmer was making it up, and hey, maybe he was.
So maybe he was. You know, it's always good to understand where things come from, like I said earlier. And I found this out because I had degenerative disc disease, and I went to the chiropractor a lot. It seemed to help, but started noticing that it seemed to get worse. And they always wanted me to come back, and it just started being weird. So I did a little research on it, and I've been sitting on this story for a while because I know a lot of people that, you know, don't know the history of chiropractic medicine, and, you know, people that talk to the dead, as the Bible clearly states not to do. You know, I don't want those kind of hands on me. So I just wanted to help you guys understand the history of chiropractic medicine. So let's play the second clip and get a better understanding of what D.D. Palmer claimed he could do. So check this out.
Let's look at the case of William Harvey Lillard. Lillard sustained an injury to his back, an event which also damaged his hearing. Advocates for chiropractic medicine often quote a letter, supposedly by Lillard himself, testifying to the power of this treatment. I was deaf 17 years, he wrote, and I expected to always remain so, for I had doctored a great deal without any benefit. I had long ago made up my mind not to take any more ear treatments, for it did me no good. Last January, Dr. Palmer told me that my deafness came from an injury in my spine. This was new to me, but it is a fact that my back was injured at the time I went deaf. Dr. Palmer treated me on the spine. In 2 treatments, I could hear quite well. That was 8 months ago. My hearing remains good. What exactly was going on here? Palmer grounds his supposed science on metaphysical principles. According to him, there is an innate intelligence which runs the universe. This intelligence, which the Christian religion calls God, is an all-powerful force on which matter depends. He believed that we are all born with a portion of this innate intelligence, which is present in each individual, never sleeps nor tires, recognizes neither darkness or distance, and is not subject to material laws. It continues to care for and direct the organic functions of the body as long as the soul holds body and spirit together. This intelligence is expressed, according to Palmer, through the nervous system. Disease isn't what we've been led to believe. On the contrary, the mental and physical condition known as disease is due to misalignments in the neuroskeleton, which serves as the nervous system's protector. Palmer believed that death was only the end of the physical body. The spirit went on after death, but it could be in quite an unfortunate state if the intelligence flowing through the nervous system were improperly channeled. Whatever flaws or virtues we possessed in this life would pass with us into the next world. Our sickness, our physical and mental deficiencies could haunt us in the afterlife. This made the chiropractor's duty an urgent one. How, in a nation that claimed to be Christian, could such an unorthodox practice take hold? Living in our comfortable, relatively peaceful era, it's hard to imagine the devastation that came as a result of the Civil War. According to the White House Historical Association, the Civil War resulted in approximately 750,000 American fatalities, nearly equal to the total number of American deaths in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, and the Korean War combined. Bodies were left on the battlefield by the scores. Families all over the country were without the knowledge of what happened to their sons, fathers, and brothers in their final moments.
So next we're going to be looking at how they marketed this to the public, and after this I'm going to get Opa's opinion on it, and let's play this last clip.
America, with its broken heart, turned to the guidance of mediums. First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln, the wife of President Abraham Lincoln, offers a typical example of how spiritualism provided a palliative for grief. Mrs. Lincoln was a woman well acquainted with loss. She buried 3 of her 4 children. Her son, Willie, died during their time at the White House. Disconsolate, she turned to seances to contact her child from the other world. She may have held as many as 8 seances in the White House, and told her half-sister, "Willie lives. He comes to me every night and stands at the foot of the bed with the same sweet, adorable smile that he always has had." She further remarked that he didn't always come alone. Little Eddie, another son she lost, is sometimes with him. After the death of her husband, spirit photographer William H. Mumler took the following picture. Today, Mumler's photographs are recognized as fakes, but his work provided profound, albeit false, comfort to many. In the wake of the Civil War, America suffered a crisis of identity. The principles of liberty and of faith on which we were supposedly founded were rightfully questioned. A nation that could buy and sell human beings, where brother could slaughter brother, was due, in the minds of many, for a change in spiritual direction. It was these wounds, as much as any physical disease, that Palmer sought to heal. Chiropractic, according to him, didn't just repair our bodies, it reconnected our souls to the universal intelligence that, being God, is the source of all goodness. Once we're physically aligned, we'll become morally and spiritually aligned too. Chiropractic, he wrote, will lessen disease, poverty, and crime, empty our jails, penitentiaries, and insane asylums, and assist us to prepare for the existence beyond the transition called death. It stands to reason that, if Palmer were right, the proliferation of chiropractic would lead us into a world that, compared to the horrors of the 19th century, would appear a utopia. Certainly, if prisons and asylums were emptied, the citizens of this golden age wouldn't own slaves, and war, civil or otherwise, would be a relic of a barbaric past. As bad as the 19th century was, though, the 100 years that followed it are the bloodiest on record, and those who receive chiropractic treatment, while their backs may feel a bit better, don't suddenly become bodhisattvas. Palmer's revelation, while it may seem peculiar to us, is characteristic of a new understanding of the relationship between body and spirit.
You've probably heard of Scientology.
As with, for example, psychoanalysis, Palmer replaces the language of sin with the language of pathology. According to scholar Candy Gunther Brown, chiropractic developed out of vitalistic, harmonial religious philosophies envisioned by their adherents as alternatives to Christianity. Dr. Brown quotes B.J. Palmer, the son of chiropractic's founder, who said that no chiropractor would pray on his knees to some invisible power. Palmer's God, whether or not he likes to admit it, is a hobbled one. This universal intelligence needs the chiropractor's hands to heal his children and to reunite them to him. Prayer to such a being would be unnecessary. As BJ wrote, innate intelligence within man asserts that the only possible cause and cure are within man.
Very interesting. Now, I'll tell you something that I went really easy on chiropractic medicine. And that really said a lot. I mean, D.D. Palmer, you want to know how he died, Opa? His son hit him with the car. He murdered him.
Huh.
That's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fun family story, fun family business, and you should ask your chiropractor about D.D. Palmer and see what they have to say, and do your own research. Don't trust me. Do your own research and look up D.D. Palmer, because it is very dark and very sketchy. So, what do you think, Opa?
Well, I've never been to a chiropractor, and I don't know. I just, for having people messing around with my bones and stuff, just doesn't make any sense to me. But some people seem to think they get relief from it, and others, it doesn't do a thing to. So I don't know.
Yep. And it feels good right after And then the long-term effects, in my case, in my scenario, it didn't really help. But I just wanted to present that to you guys. And if you guys have any other evidence, send it my way. I'd love to look at it. And yeah. Now, a quick word from our friend Kristen. I'm going to introduce you guys to somebody named Kristen, who's one of the biggest forces behind Skiba News Nation. This is Kristen. She helps us get all the big guests. I understand that you're doing this full time now. So how can people find out how to use your service?
Well, I started Fellow Helper Agency, and you can go to fellowhelperagency.com. And I do any of the behind the scenes, email, getting the interviews, and I do prep work for the shows as well. I do timestamps and moderating.
She is the best with connects. If you like any of our shows, any of our big guests, she's the person to go to. And if you have a channel, definitely go to our website. So go check out fellowhelperagency.com. Thank you, Kristen. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you next Friday. Stay awake, not woke. Subscribe and stay tuned. If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe. And also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Son of the legendary Jeremiah Skiba.
It's like I don't even want to wake up.